Nobody cares about your mental health more than Jesus does. And what I mean by that is when you cry out to God, when you have tears on your face and you're praying and you're crying out to Him, He listens. God is always listening to every single prayer. He's all powerful and everywhere at the same time. I can't claim to know how God works, but I know that when I pray and when I cry out to Him, He listens to me. He gives me signs. He shows me through people that I meet that He is listening. I'll see something that is just crazy timing, and it cannot be a coincidence. I prayed, or it came at the perfect time, right when I was feeling hopelessness, or right when I felt like nothing would ever work out. That's when God comes through, boom, and He shows me like, hey, I listened, I heard you, wait on me. Because a lot of times when you're feeling all these impulses and emotions, you'll want to take action that won't necessarily always be good for you. Sometimes we're self-destructive in our own habits and we feel like we coming up with a solution, but it's actually just going to make things worse. So that's what it means to wait on the Lord. Because when you cry out in prayer and God listens to you and He's putting those moves behind closed doors to make sure everything works out for you, that's when it's the hardest to remain patient. That's when it's the absolute hardest. We live in a cultural mindset where we constantly got to be grinding. We constantly got to be doing something. We constantly have to be working towards something, towards our dream life, our dream goals, our dream everything. But sometimes the hardest thing is to wait on the Lord, because even though you're working as hard as you possibly can to a positive outcome, you have to understand that there are some moves that God has to make on the chessboard before you can make your next move. So I want whoever needs to hear this, somebody needs to hear this, otherwise I wouldn't have made the video. But you have to wait on God when it comes to doing things that are out of your control, because you're stressing yourself out trying to control circumstances that you have absolutely no control over. But what you can control is your own thoughts and your own attitude. So by keeping a positive attitude, by continuing to walk in faith, you're showing God that you trust Him. That you trust Him, that God is who He says He is, and that you recognize the sacrifice that He paid on the cross for you. And you know that God loves you enough that this is nothing to Him. This is nothing for Him to solve this problem. Sometimes God makes you wait a little longer because you prayed for patience. Now He's giving you the opportunity to grow your patience. You don't just get zapped with a happy feeling and now you're more patient. God makes you go through things like this in order to build you up to be more patient, because this is what you prayed for. Be very careful when you pray for strength, when you pray for patience, because God will not just zap you with those feelings. He will give you opportunities and challenges to overcome.